Uh,
Who are these people? Who are these people?
all right. Welcome. Welcome. Sorry I'm late. I'm always late, so shouldn't be surprised to anybody. But this is Angel in the Afternoon. Welcome to episode 71. That's what it says there, at least. So I'm going to take the word for it. Thank you very much for joining us. How are you doing this evening, Alex?
Good. How about you?
I'm good. And
Hopefully, Luke
I was.
Weaver has solved the Yankees closer situation. If you saw
Oh,
the game
God.
today,
Oh, yeah, man. I'm sick and tired of. Just real quick, the the Yankees don't have a closer, and it's September. So
Yeah.
the chances are they make a deep playoff run are almost zero. But I digress. I mean, not a baseball thing, but let's see. That
I
pisses
mean,
me
you never
off,
know.
though.
I mean, look
Um,
what the Rangers did. People didn't think the Rangers were going to go that far in the postseason, and yet they won it all. So you never know.
well, but you need a closer to win a championship most of the time. An actual closer. No, I'm late as usual, so sorry.
But
I'm
if
late.
Luke Weaver,
Joining
if
us.
he's able to solve the issue, then then they just need to figure out the rest of the bullpen. So
Yeah, but as of now, I don't deep playoff run. It's almost zero, but we'll see. Weirder things have happened in
yeah,
in baseball, like the goddamn Rangers won the World Championship last year, even though they didn't have much of a bullpen. But I digress.
yeah,
Anything can happen. But yeah, it's September. Clay Holmes is shitting his pants. It seems like every chance he gets, he leads the majors in blown saves. So I don't really like the Yankees' chances of making a deep playoff run. But let's see. Thank you for joining us. Please give us a like, subscribe to all the channels. Let's see. Any other housekeeping? I don't think so. So let's get started. As everybody knows, there was a major shooting, another high school shooting. What was the day? September 4th, which would make it a Wednesday. So it happened Wednesday. Another shooting at a school in the United States. So,
yeah.
excuse me, that makes it that's another Wednesday in America. But so mass shooting at school in Georgia, at least 30 people injured, with multiple people killed at Appalachia High School in Winder, Georgia. So this is as of now, this was as of Wednesday. But it's just another whoops. Why did I just do that? Bear with me 1 second. Having issues here. Uh, Bret Hart's going to be on Raw. We should talk about that tomorrow. Definitely. I mean, that's something we'll talk about. Oops, tomorrow on her wrestling talk. Oh, here we go. I sleep, and luck. I don't know how I'm awake, but I am. So this is a NBC News video, and then we'll get to a local Fox affiliate in Georgia. So let's watch this first, and then we'll react.
Tonight, terrified inside the deadly school shooting in Winder, Georgia, coming into clearer focus. Killing 4 and injuring 9 at Appalachia High School. Suspect, 14-year-old, custody and charged with 4 counts of felony murder. Investigators searching his home. Authorities say they're looking into a potential motive and how he obtained an AR-style rifle.
It was carnage. There was blood everywhere. You could smell the gunpowder.
Barrow County Sheriff Judd Smith says it was the suspect's second day at Appalachia High. The FBI and Jackson County Sheriff's Office say Gray and his father were interviewed last year after receiving several anonymous tips in May 2023 about potential threats posted to an online gaming platform, according to a senior law enforcement official, containing photographs of guns. Father stated he had hunting gun in the house, but said his son did not have unsupervised access to them. With no probable cause to arrest Gray, authorities say they told local schools to monitor him.
Do you think this could have been prevented given the fact that there were already warnings about him?
Possibly. It's speculation. Again, I believe and I feel confident that the FBI, the system worked.
The sheriff said alert system Kejix worked. About 10:20 a.m. yesterday, authorities say teachers began activating a button on their badge that placed the school on lockdown. Within minutes, officials say law enforcement arrived on scene. Sheriff Smith credits 3 school resource officers with getting the suspect to surrender within 6 minutes of the first alert from teachers.
They gave him verbal commands, and he dropped the gun, went on the ground, and they took him into custody immediately.
Among the victims, 14-year-old classmates Christian Angulo and Mason Schermerhorn, and 2 math teachers, 39-year-old Richard Aspinwall and 53-year-old Christina Irami. Adriana Phillip is a senior at Appalachia High. She says she was in class when she heard the gunshots.
We ran to the back of the classroom and we all huddled behind the lab tables. And from where I was, I could see the door. So I watched it, but then after a little bit, I just closed my eyes. And so I was hugging the girl next to me.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about...
Whoops.
Thanks to this waterfront hotel on booking.com.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's one of the shootings. But yeah, let me get another video here. What the hell? Bear with me 1 second. I'm having... Go back. But yeah, you know, brutal shooting. It's another Wednesday in America, but what? Let's see. Go back here. Here. Jesus Christ. Sorry. It's just too... Alright. Yep. People... No, nobody cares except... Nobody cares. So this is a local affiliate in Atlanta. I don't know why. I gotta reload this.
We're learning new details about the 9th grader charged in the killing.
Gosh. Bear with me 1 second. It's kind of slow. Oh, Lord. Still bear with me 1 second. This isn't working for whatever reason.
We're learning details about the 9th grader charged.
Let's try this now. Jesus. Here we go. Finally. This is a local Atlanta affiliate of Fox.
In the killing, Colt Gray.
The Fox I-team has poured public records today trying to learn more about the accused teen. Late today, the I-team obtained a recording of a sheriff's office interview of Colt Gray and his father, recorded after the FBI received the tip last year to shoot up a school.
Fox reporter Johnny Edwards says a picture is emerging of a troubled family and, Johnny, some missed warning signs.
Right, from what we're learning, Colt Gray's home life was fraught with problems. Police reports and court records concerning his parents, Colin and Marcy Gray, reveal a broken family. Colt living with his father, his 2 younger siblings living with their mother. Marcy Gray was arrested late last year for scratching her husband's truck. Then when they arrested her, police say they found her with methamphetamines, fentanyl, and a glass pipe. She was sentenced to 46 days in jail. Also last year, Colt Gray and his father received a visit from Jackson County Sheriff's investigators. They were looking into an FBI tip. Apparently someone on a gaming app had threatened to shoot up a middle school. They believed Colt may have been involved. According to incident reports, the then 13-year-old told investigators he didn't make those threats. Here's a sheriff's investigator talking to Colt Gray.
I promise I would never say something like that.
So you haven't used Discord in a few months?
No.
And you're saying you didn't say anything like that?
No, the only thing I have is TikTok, but I just go around there and watch videos.
Bullshit.
Colt's father told police he did have guns in the house. He said they were accessible but not loaded. He said he and his son would go hunting together. He said he wanted his son away from video games and into the outdoors. Colt even shot his first deer that year. Colin Gray also told police his son had problems at school.
I've been up to school, like I'm on first name. I just was up there 3 days ago for his finals, talking to the principal, like, look, we talk about it quite a bit. All the school shootings, things that happen.
Yeah.
Hey, are you getting picked on at school? He is. He's getting picked on at school, and is everything okay? That's why I keep going up there.
After that talk, police left. They weren't able to substantiate the tip. Here's where a breakdown may have occurred. The Jackson County Sheriff tells us she believes her department alerted Jackson County schools, telling them keep monitoring Colt Gray. In an email obtained by the Sheriff's FBI, we have made area schools aware and will monitor this subject. But by that point, Colt Gray had already finished 8th grade at Jefferson Middle School. By 9th grade, he and his father had moved to a different county, and that's where he started at Appalachia High School in Barrow. This is what we're still trying to figure out, if that alert from Jackson County carried over to the new school district. And what would monitoring even mean? We don't know. Tom?
All right, Johnny.
Well, 4 people were killed, over 30 people were wounded. Just another standard Wednesday in America, and nothing will change. And we have people we have liberals saying, well, we need to ban assault rifles. You have conservatives. It's the same old game that's being played on X.
Well,
and
what I was going to say was
conservative.
Sorry, you can finish.
Okay, conservatives saying, well, we need more mental health and et cetera, et cetera. It's the same game that's always been played, but nothing changes because neither side wants to actually do anything.
Well, a couple
Families
things.
who are-
Couple things. One thing I can't stand is that, Democrats, they always outrage it's like Republicans when a school shooting happens, but yet when they have a chance to do something, to fix it, they never do it. Like Obama, after the Sandy Hook shooting, he was in tears.
Oh yeah.
Whether it was real or fake, whatever, but did he do anything about it? No, he didn't. Democrats don't do shit to fix it. And the other thing that I can't stand is, when these type of school shootings happen, and then, when we hear, somebody, plays video games or something, and they're gonna blame the violent video games all over again, Grand Theft Auto and all.
Oh, of course.
So, that's
of course. We've been hearing that since the 90s. When Mortal Kombat first came out. I mean, immediately that was all of a sudden like, oh well, it's video games' fault. Look at that. But Mortal Kombat, it's just horrible. Meanwhile, there were movies coming out for decades, even before that, with brutal violence and stuff. But no, not movies. It's video games' fault.
Yeah.
I
don't understand why.
And still,
why people they're fine with violent movies, but for video games, it's a different line. I never understand.
I don't get that either. Yeah.
Do they still have the ridiculous claim or vision that video games are only for kids? Do they still think that way, or what?
I'm sure it is. I mean, video games older people think it's for kids. Meanwhile, most games these days are pretty adult-like. In fact, I'm going to start playing the RoboCop game, a new one that came out on these channels soon, probably next week. And those games are definitely not for children. So yeah, here's another reporting about teachers killed. These are specifically about the teachers. So.
Families who are experiencing trauma here, and for especially the families of the victims who lost their lives in this shooting. Fox 5's Angelique Proctor is taking a closer look at who these people were, the 2 teachers and 2 students who were killed yesterday. Angelique.
Courtney, so many people in this community are still in disbelief about what happened here. As they remember the victims, they're still asking that nagging question that hasn't been answered. Why? Their faces and stories will forever be etched in the Appalachia High School history. 2 teachers who, by most accounts, sacrificed their own lives while
I would have never thought that this would happen so close to me, and that it would happen to people that I cared about.
Math teacher and assistant football coach for the Appalachia Wildcats, Richard Aspinwall. The 39-year-old is being remembered as a loving husband and father.
Wow.
Coach Aspinwall was previously at Mountain High School in Gwinnett County, where he is also being remembered.
I heard about, what happened yesterday, and it was very shocking to hear. Never would I have thought that, this happened so close to home, that one of the victims was my neighbor. Yeah, I'm just lost for words.
Math teacher Christina Irami's next-door neighbor is just hearing the news. Students describe the math teacher as patient and caring. The students who lost their lives were only 14 years old. Christian Angelo, who is being remembered by friends as a free spirit with a sense of humor. Mason Shimmerhorn's family shared this from his most recent birthday. His family says he was always positive and always looked at the bright side of things. He had recently started learning how to play the trumpet. And GoFundMe accounts have been set up for all 4 of these victims. If you would like to donate, Fox 5 webpage to get more information. Courtney?
Yeah, the more that comes out about each and every one of these people, Angelique, it just makes it so much more real. So hard to look at the birthday candles on those cakes. 14 years old is just way too young. And these teachers just being remembered for their contribution and the impact that they've made on students' lives. Angelique, thanks. Winder and Barrow County are coming together to try and support these families, the victims.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're dead. And there's 4 dead, over 30 injured, and it's just another shooting in America. Nothing will change. I mean, when I really thought when Sandy Hook happened, stuff would change, but Obama couldn't get anything passed. Didn't really try. I mean, he just virtue signaled and grandstanded, and cried about it, but nothing really changed, which is shocking to me. I assumed the one shooting where things would change was Sandy Hook, because just how young the kids were and just how brutal it was, but nothing changed. So,
but you'll have
what's the point?
Kyle Kowinski and others saying, "Oh, if Tim Walz becomes VP, he'll have Kamala fix all those issues," or something like that.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Nothing will change. Well, all we're going to do is just all that happens is just grandstanding and virtue signaling, and ultimately nothing will change. So I'm like, why bother? Why? This is all we're gonna get. So this is the young man who was who did it. So let me show his picture. He's 14 as well. Colt Gray, charged with murdering 4 people, or deleting 4 people, let's say.
Yeah, he looks like a girl.
Yes. In fact, somebody said, "Was he transitioning?" So, hearing the responses, but yeah, I mean, he looks pretty girly. But yeah, 14-year-old Colt Gray allegedly shot 4 people in Georgia, so he's the one that allegedly did it. So he'll probably go to prison for the rest of his life, and not much else will change. We'll forget about this, and we'll all move on. So this, another one of his classmates. I would say enough's enough, but it's like nothing will change. I mean, it's more like I could say enough is enough all I want, but it doesn't mean anything will change. This is one of his classmates. Yeah, I don't want to do that right now.
Shooting like 10 times. He shot at least 10 times. And then I ran to the back of the classroom. I dived behind the desk, and my teacher had got in front of me, like he was guarding me. But like the gunshots were so close to me, like my ears started ringing real bad. Like the whole classroom was smoking, like, and everything. And then when he finally got out of the classroom, my teacher started barricading the door with desks and bookshelves and all that, and then I had got up. I had saw one of my classmates on the ground bleeding so bad, and then when I had moved myself to the other side of the room, because the bookshelf I was hiding behind, it was right in front of the door, so I had moved to the other side, to like this side with my friend. I was checking on my other friend because he got grazed in his leg. And then there was a white girl that was in front of me. She got shot in her leg and stuff. And then my other friend got shot in her stomach, and it was just so sad, stuff like that.
Are you okay?
Yes, ma'am.
That's a lot to process. And you're so young. You're how old?
I can't even hear what.
That's so much to have.
Is your computer volume all the way up?
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I guess it's the mics are bad.
Like, it just keep replaying back in my head.
Yeah. So, yeah, the kid is, traumatized, obviously, and I'm not surprised that he is, but yeah, I mean, it's just brutality for the. Now we can debate why shootings happen, from SSRIs to other factors, I'm sure, but quite frankly, not much is going to change anyway. So let's see what else. So now let's move on to the Justice Department going after RT again. It's not the first time they've done this. So if Trump wins, we're getting Russiagate 3.0 all over again.
Yeah.
So
I miss RT America.
Oh yeah, I mean they after the first round of sanctions, they had to be taken off the air because I mean there's no way to fund them anymore, or at least legally.
They were
it was
taken
shut
off
down
shortly after Russia invaded Ukraine.
Yeah, once the invasion happened, they were pretty much taken off the air at that point through sanctions and stuff. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, Tenet Media, whose roster includes Benny Johnson, Tim Pool, Dave Rubin, has allegedly received over $10 million from the Russian government to publish content as part of a Russian influence operation. So, yeah, apparently now the Russians are funding right-wingers for reasons, I guess, because there's really no reason why they would fund right-wingers, because their government is... There's really no reason to do that. I mean, you would assume they'd be funding people on the left, not on the right, but... Alright, so...
You're gonna ignore Israel, paying all the politicians, the money, for AIPAC,
The U.S. Attorney's Office, let's see... The U.S. Attorney General smirks at RT trolling of CNN. So this RT.
I have a question for Garland and Director Ray. Attorney General Garland, Russia today sent a statement to Fox News and some other outlets here, mocking the situation. They had 5 bullet points or 6 bullet points. The first said, ha, 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 ha. 2016 wants its cliches back. In all seriousness, there is a subsection of the country that when they hear Russian interference, they may believe that it's not true, it's not a real thing. How do you assure people this is a real situation?
Because it isn't.
That was much funnier in the original Russian, but for us, it's not funny. This is deadly serious, and we are going to treat it.
Yeah, it's not
Why
funny.
were you smiling?
It's deadly serious.
Why were you smiling?
Yeah, because RT is still brilliantly trolling, the United States for their insistence on more Russiagating, and it's real this time. Trust us, it's real this time. It's not like the last 2 times where we were just bullshitting you. This time it's real. Trust us, it's absolutely 100% real. So this is the FBI director. Oops, if I can get this right. Putin's trolling and said he wanted Kamala Harris, and it's not surprising. I mean, even in 2020, he said that he wanted Joe Biden because it was. Yeah. It was more, the U.S. government is more stable, which helps his government. So, but meanwhile, oh no, he wants Trump. Trust us, even though he keeps saying he wants Democrats, but this time, trust us, he wants Trump. So this is the FBI director claiming that RT for years is used to seed and amplify propaganda around the world.
They're the ones talking
Now,
about
for years. The Russian government has.
Yeah, ironically, there it's this kind of pot meat kettle, one of those situations. But but they're acting like, oh, it's just the Russians. We don't do propaganda. We tell the truth. It's just the Russians. Trust us.
Now, for years, the Russian government has used RT to seed and amplify their propaganda narratives around the world. While RT America suspended its official operations in the U.S. back in early 2022, our investigation revealed that since at least last year, RT has used people living and working inside the U.S. to facilitate contracts with American media figures to create and disseminate Russian propaganda here. The content was pitched as legitimate independent news when, in fact, much of it was created in Russia by RT employees who work for the Russian government. The second operation reveals even more malign activities by companies working under the direction and control of the Russian government. Companies that created media websites to trick Americans into unwittingly consuming Russian propaganda. Today's announcement exposes those companies and their influence operations that relied on AI-generated content, influencers, and paid social media advertisements to drive internet traffic to their sites and target Americans with disinformation.
This sounds familiar.
As of noon today, we've seized those sites, rendered them inoperable, and made clear to the world what they are: Russian attempts to interfere in our elections and influence our society. As the lead agency for investigating threats to U.S. elections, the FBI is focused on ensuring that our laws are respected and enforced. And when we learn that adversaries overseas hide who they are and where their propaganda is coming from as part of campaigns to deliberately sow discord, we're going to continue to do everything we can to expose their hidden hand and disrupt their efforts. I'll close by saying thank you again to everyone on the task force for the support you're providing us and for everything you're doing to instill confidence in our elections and ensure they're conducted in a way that is safe and fair and legitimate.
In other words, it's okay. It's not. It's okay. The Russians, they do propaganda and it's horrible, but we do propaganda is perfectly fine. They have Radio Free Europe. They have Radio Free Asia. The U.S. does propaganda all around the world, but it's okay for us to interfere in all these elections and all these governments. But as soon as the Russians allegedly do it, which there's no evidence to actually doing this, but allegedly doing it, now all of a sudden, meltdown city, it's horrible. We indicted more Russians who will never come to the U.S. anyway, so it doesn't matter. It's just virtue signaling by the U.S. Like, oh yeah, believe we're fighting for the integrity of our elections. Trust us, we're fighting for that. And secretly, we don't want Trump to win, even though the Russians have made it clear that they want Kamala Harris to win. But that's a whole nother thing. I digress, So it's just more BS from the United States. So let's see. We got more here. We got more responses here from RT. RT has been trolling the U.S. with these indictments and talking about how horrible RT is. Let's see. Oops, no, not that. So Putin. This is Putin trolling the U.S. So let me see. Oops, I fucked up. Yeah, hold on. No, not that. Oh, I'm already sharing my screen, and I'm wondering. So yeah, he's trolling the U.S. here. So
that if we can name a favorite candidate, it used to be Joe Biden, but now he is not participating in the election campaign, and he recommended all his allies to support Ms. Harris. So that is what we are going to do. So it was, well, he said that we should, that is why we should also do that. Well, her laugh, she's laughing. Her laugh is so fascinating. It means that everything is good, and if everything is good, it means that, for instance, if we're speaking about Joe Biden, there are so many sanctions against Russia introduced, and if everything is good with Ms. Harris, maybe she'll refrain herself from such measures, or maybe she'll change them. It will be the choice of the U.S. people, and we will respect this choice.
So the Russians have endorsed Kamala Harris, but they'll respect the election results no matter who wins. So that's the official position of the Russian government, and just classic trolling here from the Russians. It's like, really, the Russian, like, really, we don't have that much power. It's like they act like the Russians are like, either the Russians are weak or they're super powerful. They can't be both at the same time. And hence the situation with the U.S. When it comes to Ukraine, they're all powerful, or when it comes to Ukraine, no, actually they're weak and they're pathetic and they can't do a war properly. When it comes to hacking our elections, they're all powerful and they can do whatever they want. So I don't know which one. It depends on the situation with the U.S. and their position towards Russia. So let's see. Where is it? There's a. So there was more trolling, and I wish I would have saved it, but I didn't, or at least I don't think I did. Let's see. Oh, this is pretty funny. So here we got more trolling here from the Russians. They put out memes like trolling. Let's see. People are free to interpret the tone of Putin remarks about his favorite candidate in the U.S. election as they wish. This from the Kremlin. So this is a meme they put out. Americans decoding Putin's statements be like, and they're Egyptologists kind of decoding what the Egyptians are saying. So yeah, this great trolling here is from the Russians, particularly RT. So RT's been trolling the U.S. ever since they put out these more recent indictments and new, more recent sanctions. Even though it's pretty much meaningless because the Russians don't do business with the U.S. anymore, and they don't do business with the U.S. dollar anymore. So I don't know what's the point of these sanctions other than virtue signaling by the U.S. Let's see. Anything else? I don't think. This is what I'm looking for. So, yeah, you can't have it both ways, and the U.S. wants to have it both ways. So this is the entire segment. The U.S. wheels out old playbook. Russia is to blame, basically, for everything.
This is all about fact-checking, right? Okay, let's check some facts then and see who's the real liar here. Let's start with Russia interfering with the U.S. presidential election in 2016. At first, they said that there's no way Trump could win. And when he did, they found a way to justify it.
Massive interference in American elections.
Personally was involved in this.
Russia was
Russia.
in a covert Russian hack operation.
These hacks have taken place by Russians.
Of course.
Russia's behind this in some form.
Russian state actors broke into the DNC.
A recurring theme, as you can see, since this year, they're also shaking in their boots, apparently. Well, back in 2017, the scandal was unraveling, and everywhere you looked, you saw pictures of Trump and Putin. The buildup was great, just like a Hollywood blockbuster. The Mueller investigation was supposed to expose all of Trump's links to Russia and all the ways in which Russia supposedly swayed the vote. It turned out to be very anticlimactic.
Our conclusion that there was to charge a broader conspiracy. If we had confidence that the president clearly did not commit a crime, we would have said so.
They could not provide any concrete evidence to support years of lies and disinformation on their part. Fast forward a few years, and it's another election in the U.S. This time, the New York Post published data obtained from Hunter Biden's laptop, which exposed his father's corruption. Oh, no. A mere 3 weeks before the election, something had to be done.
There are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plan. They have said that this is
This is the FBI and CIA actively interfering in our elections because they knew that this story was going to come out by the New York Post. They knew it weeks in advance, so they went to the rest of the media and said, "Hey, there's some Russian propaganda coming out in a few weeks. When you see it, you'll know it, and trust us. Do not report this shit." Not only did it not report it, but Twitter and Facebook and all the social media companies instantly blocked it as soon as you try to share it. You could not share this story anywhere in social media. So they actively interfered in our elections. But that's okay for the government to interfere. Because if this would have came out and was properly reported on, there's no way Joe Biden would have won this election. We all know that. And it turns out to be 100% true. And the government admitted to it later. It's, oh yeah, it turns out it's 100% true. Years after the election. It doesn't matter.
Remember the CIA, both parties say what he said.
Oh, go ahead. No. What you gonna say?
So remember that interview Hunter Biden did a few years ago when he was asked, "What was it? Was it real? Was it fake?" He's like, "I have no idea. You know, it could be fake. Could be someone. You know, I don't know. I have no idea."
the moron left his laptop in a taxi cab in New York, and that's how it got leaked. So it wasn't the Russians; it was him. He's the dumbass who left his laptop in a taxi in New York City. So it's his own fault why that thing was leaked. But here comes the FBI and the CIA. Like, no, it's Russians. The Russians did it. Don't report on this shit because we want Joe Biden to win. We don't want Trump getting a second term, which he would have gotten, if the election, was on the up and up.
What he's saying is a bunch of garbage. Nobody believes it except his and his good friend Rudy Giuliani.
What?
You mean the laptop is now
Rudy
another
Giuliani?
Russia hoax?
That's exactly what.
Yes.
That's exactly what.
This is where he's going. The laptop is Russia,
Gentlemen,
Russia.
I want to stay on the issue of race.
You
okay?
have to be kidding. Here we go again with Russia.
Russia.
They're all so obnoxious and so certain that it's a lie. You'd think that this was all said after a proper investigation, but no. Just opinions from so-called credible journalists who somehow think that they know it all.
All the hallmarks of a Russian
Russian
disinformation.
Russian
disinformation campaign.
This is a classic example of the right-wing media machine.
Once again, over a year later, it turned out that it was all a lie. The Russian disinformation part, not the actual story, because the laptop was very, very real. And it was the mainstream media trying to shut down the real story.
18 months ago, two papers joined in the drive to suppress the Post's reporting off the laptop, playing up bogus, clearly partisan claims that it was somehow Russian disinformation. Never mind that we had not only authenticated the info and produced confirming sources like former Hunter business partner Tony Bobulinski, but also openly reported how we got it. Unlike both the other papers' endless anonymously sourced reporting on the Trump Russiagate scandal, which eventually proved to be utterly fake, the product of Clinton campaign disinformation. And where big tech gleefully promoted the Russiagate nonsense, it censored the Post's scoop.
That's the tactic. If something awkward or inconvenient happens, just blame the Russians. By the time the world figures out the truth, no one will care. And of course, we'll be on to the next lie.
The next Russia.
What's the first thing we heard about
The
the
next
Nord Stream
Russia
pipeline
lie.
explosions? That Russia did it. It made no sense.
No, it didn't.
Totally defied logic. But that's what Western media was selling to the masses.
Russia.
In other words, the Russians built the pipeline, Nord Stream, and for no reason blew up their own pipeline. Why would they do that? Why would they do that? Give me one good reason why the Russians would blow up their own pipeline and cost themselves billions of dollars. There is no reason for it. Obviously, the U.S. did it, but, let's just blame the Russians for blowing up their own goddamn pipeline and cost themselves billions of dollars in profit. It makes no fucking sense. But yeah, they try to sell it to us, the U.S. media.
Is most likely behind this.
But it is likely that this is an act by Russia.
The guy Aramati confronted.
Assessment was
They
behind it.
the Russians blew up their own pipeline. Like, who takes that seriously? I mean, who? If you know, if you even know
like if
anything,
the U.S. destroyed the World Trade Center.
yeah, it's like we blew up our. Oh, but yeah, I mean, we blew up our own shit for no reason. You know, I mean, that's what they're somehow the Russians did it. I guess to blame the U.S. to make the U.S. look bad on the world stage, but we've done so much worse. Our government's done so much worse the last 100 years, besides just blowing up a pipeline. So, yeah, but the Russians did it somehow to blame us and cost themselves billions of dollars in the process. Yeah, that makes no sense. But yeah, they try to sell it to us.
Okay, once again, where is the proof? Because all signs were pointing elsewhere. But who cares, right? As long as Russian disinformation makes it to the headlines, that's enough to pull the wool over their eyes.
While there is not yet evidence to say exactly who is responsible for the Nord Stream attack, there are, however, plenty of officials pointing at Russia. State Department spokesman Ned Price and several European officials all blamed Moscow, alternately calling them culpable for the sabotage itself, or at a minimum guilty of leveraging the incident to smear the U.S.
See, that's exactly what the U.S. was saying. It's like, well, they did it to smear the U.S. Even though they were at the time, before the blow up of the pipeline, we had administration officials coming out and saying, well, if they invade Ukraine, then Nord Stream will cease to exist. And people are like, what does that mean? It's like, oh, it'll cease to exist. Just trust us. Then the pipeline blew up, and somehow Russia's at fault. Even though they openly admitting to, well, it will cease to exist if they invade Ukraine. And then Ukraine happens, and all of a sudden the pipeline mysteriously blows up. But somehow it's Russia's fault. Just trust us. You know, it's ridiculous.
The key here is no evidence. There is no evidence, yet they're always convinced it's Russia. That's very professional and very balanced on them. RT showed those accusations against Moscow, by the way, but the channel also presented the overwhelming evidence to the contrary. And guess what? We were right, because 2 years went by and the so-called truth seekers and fact checkers had to change their tune.
The U.S. believes that it was a pro-Ukraine force that sabotaged the pipeline. Early on, a lot in the West suggested Russia did.
The U.S. never took responsibility. It's like, well, it was a pro-Ukraine group.
To answer Wiki's question, it was Seymour Hersh who proved that it was the U.S. who blew up the pipeline.
Yeah, he broke the story, just like he broke the recently, and we covered this here on the show, where he broke the story that Obama and the Democrats threatened Biden 25th Amendment in order to drop out of the race, to force him out. And now the media is kind of saying, well, yeah, that kind of happened, but, you know, I mean, we don't want to really cover it, so, yeah, Seymour Hersh is right again, but we really don't want to cover that part because, you know, Kamala Harris, joy, 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 vote for Kamala Harris. You know, we don't want to admit that, yeah, by the way, you know, Biden was forced out and they installed Kamala Harris and coordinated her as a nominee. So, yeah, we don't want to admit to that. So let's just ignore his reporting. We'll admit to it years later after the election.
Russia did it. That seems like maybe not the case anymore.
Oops.
There is this potential link to Ukraine in that the company which initially rented out this yacht is said to have been ultimately owned by a couple of Ukrainians.
A yacht that it is reported was rented from a firm in Poland that apparently belonged to two Ukrainian nationals. So that's one concrete link with Ukraine.
Turns out Moscow wasn't involved after all. Whoops. But does anyone care at this point? Of course not. The story is already forgotten. The new information suppressed, and in the minds of Americans, it was the Russians all along. And it's the same with all the other stories. When in doubt, just blame the Russians. Millions of Americans and Europeans fall for it each and every single time. And you know why? Because that's what their media tell them. Unless, of course, they watch channels like RT, which is exactly why Washington shut us down in the US. So once again, we ask, who's the real liar here?
How can you question that? Washington did shut down RT here in the US. And there at one point they had fantastic people. I mean, I would watch RT all the time. We had shows like Jesse Ventura was on there at one point, and we had excellent coverage from RT over and over again. And now it's gone because the US indirectly shut it down. Even though they're like, oh no, we didn't shut it down, but yeah, I mean, indirectly through sanctions, we kind of shut it down. But they didn't, because they admit to directly shutting it down. That's a clear violation of the First Amendment, which would, would get them sued. But yeah, I mean, RT has done some excellent work. And again, there's this trolling the U.S. here.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, blame Russia. Russia, 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 Russia. That's how Rachel Maddow got her giant contract. It because she had got ratings, blaming Russia during the Trump years. And that's how she got her giant contract. She's making what, $30 million a year for a part-time job? I mean, imagine making that much money for a part-time job, which is essentially what she has now on MSNBC. It's not a full-time job anymore. Her show is only on what, a few weeks a year, and she's supposed to do documentaries and stuff, but she's getting more money than. Yeah, I don't either, but I saw her contract. It was like, or I saw articles on her contract, and I'm like, Jesus Christ! I mean, how does anybody get a part-time job like that? And it's a part-time job. It isn't like it's a full-time job. So here's sanctions against RT, another step towards freedom of speech destruction by the U.S. This is
Это очередной шаг.
Maria Zarakova, I believe that's how you pronounce it. So she's the Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman.
Это очередной шаг на пути.
This is another step towards segregation of the media by nationality, towards the destruction of freedom of speech both in the United States of America and the world as a whole by the instruments of the United States of America. This is another sign of the deep crisis of liberal democracies, which only in words declare freedom of the press, liberalism, democracy, but in fact have turned into the worst examples of dictatorships.
I just wanted to ask, why are those American human rights activists silent?
They are afraid. Behind the fear, there is also understanding. They are afraid because they understand that they will be treated the same way. Look, American public figures are also subjected to persecution and pressure if they allow themselves to deviate from the mainstream or say things based on facts and not on the illusions that Washington imposes on them. These people are even called agents of the Kremlin. That is why everyone is silent. They are afraid.
It's like we're in another Cold War, which is basically what it is. If you go back to the Cold Wars, a lot of stuff happened just like this. The U.S. media was afraid to do anything. Now we have independent media, again, who's afraid to go after, to admit the truth on Russia. Because then, I mean, and now, all of a sudden, now right-wingers like, or not right-wingers, but let's just say, independent media figures like Benny Johnson, and he's a right-winger, but Benny Johnson and Tim Pool, and who's the other one who's being accused of taking Russian money? I forget.
Yeah, I forgot the other one.
I know Benny Johnson and Tim Pool were accused of taking Russian money. Somebody else, though.
Bring up that article about the media.
Oh, Dave Rubin. That's the one.
Oh, yeah.
It was Dave Rubin. I forgot it. Let's see. So it's this is the original tweet I brought up, I think. According to U.S. Department of Justice, Tenet Media, whose roster includes Benny Johnson, Tim Pool, and Dave Rubin, has allegedly received over $10 million from the Russian government to publish content as part of a Russian influence operation. So this is a part of the indictment.
creating or making a lawsuit towards them for that claim. So see how far that goes.
Yeah, I don't see that going far, but we'll see. Maybe it will, but yeah, apparently these three guys in particular received around $10 million from an alleged Russian front in order to put out content. And last time I checked, it's not illegal to receive money to put out content, but I guess because it's allegedly from the Russians, all of a sudden, oh yeah, let's file, let's indict these people, let's take down their websites and all this other stuff. So these are three people in particular who were accused of this. It's just, and I joked around on Twitter, is like, really, there's $10 million out there, and where's I wish I would have gotten some of that money.
It's
Shit.
the same smears they were doing towards Tulsi Gabbard, with Russia and all that stuff,
Oh yeah, Tulsi. Like, I yeah, Tulsi's a lot of things, but Jesus, I mean, smearing her as some kind of Russian asset when she's currently, by the way, she's currently serving in the military. She's still in the military, but meanwhile, it's like, so this is a tweet from Scott Ritter. So the actions of the Department of the Treasury in levying new sanctions against RT, Sputnik, and other Russian media organizations have made it impossible for me to continue my work as an outside contributor for RT and Sputnik, as well as participating in interviews with other collaborations with other Russian media. The language in question is quite clear about the scope and scale of its restrictions. In addition, financial institutions and other persons that engage in certain transactions or activities with the sanctioned persons may expose themselves to sanctions or be subject to an enforcement action. The prohibitions include making of any contribution or provision of funds, goods, or services by, to, or for the benefit of any designed person, or the receipt of any contribution or provision of funds, goods, and services from any such person. I reject the notion that the work I've done over the past years with the newly sanctioned Russian media organizations has been anything other than legitimate journalism, the content of which has been factually correct and analytically sound, and always of my own creation. Nonetheless, I am fully committed to obeying U.S. law, and such will be terminating all contractual relationships with both RT and Sputnik effective immediately, as well as suspending my participation in any and all media interaction with sanctioned individuals and organizations until which time is deemed lawful to do so by U.S. authorities. I will continue to exercise my free speech rights to include my ability to function as a journalist free from government influence or control. I am deeply grateful for the professionalism of all my Russian colleagues over the past several years and proud to have met their acquaintance. I regret the actions my government is silencing legitimate journalistic outlets and look forward to the day when freedom of speech and a free press is not constrained by a dubious Russian exception that is violative of constitutional norms and values. So basically, Scott Ritter had to, leave RT and Sputnik in order to comply with U.S. law. So, so yeah, so that's his long statement on Twitter. He's basically left RT and Sputnik over the U.S. Sanctions and stuff. This is it's like we're in another Cold War. Back in the Cold War days, same thing happened. We couldn't, we had to be anti-Russia, and we had to, you know, it's just absurd. So let's see. Unfortunately, it's gotten so bad that some Americans had to move to Russia in order to, like, Fiorella is a primary example of this. She lives in Moscow.
Doesn't Tara Reid
Or
live there
she
as
lives in
well?
she came back, but I don't know whether she's back in Russia or not.
Oh,
She
that's right.
might
Yeah,
be.
that's
She
right.
did come
Yeah.
back recently, yeah. So she was in Russia until very recently. But But Fiorella says, breaking, the Department of Justice charged RT employees for basically doing their jobs. They frame it as disinformation, but that is untrue. It's what any other media outlet in the U.S., from the Washington Post to The Intercept, CNN, and New York Times, they're calling news and ops propaganda to stop truth. So this is the Department of Justice. Two RT employees indicted for covertly funding and directing U.S. company that published thousands of videos and furtherance of Russian interests. So the U.S. Schemes its divulging of social media videos and platforms like any other media company operating in foreign countries or in the U.S. The issue is they don't like what they are saying, and people are starting to pay attention. So these are the people. Uh, these are the Russians that have been indicted to violate the Foreign Agents Registration Act and conspiracy to commit money laundering. The Department of Justice has charged two employees of RT in a $10 million scheme to create and distribute content to U.S. audiences with hidden Russian government messaging. The Justice Department will not tolerate attempts by authoritarian regimes to exploit our country's free exchange of ideas in order to covertly further its own propaganda efforts, and our investigation into this matter remains ongoing. So, yeah, we will not let another country use our First Amendment rights in order to put their ideas out there. It's like it's such a violation of the First Amendment, but because it's Russia, I guess it's okay for them to violate First Amendment rights. So now posting on socials is not okay if you have a different opinion. I recently said the U.S. was not UK yet, but it looks like they're in competition for first place in fascism. So this is the actual filing, the complaint. The United States of America versus these two Russian RT employees. So I'm not gonna. So this is the link to the indictment. I'm not gonna go through that, but yeah, what I mean. Russians are evil by definition. Remember that. Remember that, guys. Don't forget that. Oops. No. Bear with me 1 second here. So yeah, it's gotten so bad that Americans have had to move to Russia in order to continue doing what they've been doing, covering the news. Jesus, this is just psychotic what the U.S. has been doing, and then so let's what else? And
I want to mention Kyle Kowinski's and Vanguard's recent tweets, or
you're gonna have to. Yeah, I mean, I know I'm gonna have to because it's just so beyond absurd. Tweeting. So, yeah, we had as usual, we have I just don't know. It's so bad, man. I mean, these they're especially. I love this meme. Where is it? I knew I saved it.
The one with him and Keith Olbermann, that one.
Yeah, that one. That one is just perfectly like you realize how he's turned into like Keith Olbermann with his more recent meltdowns.
Mm-hmm.
This is perfectly describes him like, what have I become? And he's looking in the mirror like he's Keith Olbermann, which he is. I mean, his meltdowns, his Trump derangement syndrome and meltdowns are just like unbelievable. This is the tweet which was initially responded to with that meme. I told you independent media was a fucking cesspool. Not only a bunch of virtue signaling grifters, but also colossal sellouts and useful idiots pretending that they have better morals and ethics than corporate media. They don't, they're frauds.
Are you sure you're not talking about yourself, Kyle?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Because I pointed out, hello pot, meet kettle.
There should be a response I posted underneath as well, somewhere. clip from the Vanguard, like I showed you a few weeks ago.
Oh yeah, that
there
one.
it is.
There it is. Yeah, this is the one that you posted and we covered a few weeks ago, but or 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Yeah, but this video is the independent media is fucked, which I have not watched, but yeah, he's referring to Bill O'Reilly and Stephen A. Smith.
Dirtback Left Once account or whatever the name is. He posts all the clips from Kyle Kowinski.
Yeah, and he's referring to Bill O'Reilly and Stephen A. Smith. They did a show or they did an appearance together. And first of all, I'm shocked Bill O'Reilly's still alive, but he's doing his own thing now on YouTube. Which, okay, I don't really care, but Kyle seems like he's obsessed with Bill O'Reilly lately. He's covering him a lot, like it's 2014 or something.
Yeah.
But it's just absurd, So, yeah, I mean, let me see if I can find. Yeah, I mean, he's done some great work. Dirtbag Left, and covering Kyle's falling apart here.
Oh yeah, and also at some point later on, we should cover Sam Cedar and Emma Vigeland defending "You Got to Vote for Harris." She'd be 1% better on Palestine than
those two are just. I don't know who's worse, them or Kyle or the Young Turks. I mean, who knows? Any thoughts on the newly revealed Bernie to Dick Cheney pipeline? So, duopoly brain Kyle Kulinski claims Jimmy Dore is part of a Bernie to Trump pipeline because he critiques the party who claims to share his beliefs and are full of shit more than the party that doesn't. When you view it as a uniparty or duopoly, this is completely idiotic. So,
and when you go to his post, you'll see my response there too.
I used to be a I think this is the one you're talking about. I mean, let's watch this first. This is unbelievable. This is bad.
And then you have, of course, what we discussed the other day on the show.
Well, we discussed it.
The Bernie to Trump pipeline, which is not really a phenomenon among regular voters, among regular people, but it certainly is a phenomenon among politicians and activists and high-profile media people. Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr., Jimmy Dore, Brand, people like that. You have this. They're so-called anti-establishment folks, but functionally, yet again, they, through jiu-jitsu move, turns out we're going to suck off Trump all day and act like he's the lesser evil.
No.
And then you have...
who thought that Trump was the lesser evil? Kyle Kulinski. Back in 2019. He thought Trump was lesser evil.
In 2016, he thought Hillary was the lesser evil. He didn't vote for her, but I remember him saying Hillary was the lesser evil.
Yeah, so this is the segment Jimmy Dore did.
Dore come to mind. Then, of course, you have some high-profile media.
Why would Kyle Kulinski bring up Jimmy Dore? Like, to me, that's the last person you should bring up because that gives an excuse to Jimmy Dore to make videos on him again and destroy him again. Like, why bring him up? You can bring up Matt Taibbi and Tulsi Gabbard and Russell Brand all you want, but the last person I would bring up if I'm Kyle is Jimmy Dore, but he did, and now it gives him an excuse to make this video and make more videos because he brought him up again, like recently, for no reason.
Then, of course, you have some high-profile media figures who have effectively gone from Bernie Sanders back in the day to Donald Trump now. People that come to mind, Jimmy Dore, Matt Taibbi.
So... let me just remind you of who Kyle Kulinski is. Kyle Kulinski is a guy who sided with Big Pharma during COVID. Kyle Kulinski is a guy who sided with the military-industrial complex.
By the way, get your boosters. They're great. Trust me.
Yeah.
I had to say
during
that.
the Ukraine war. Kyle Kulinski is a guy who's turned his back on every principle he ever had when he was a Bernie supporter. He's gone from being a Bernie supporter to a supporter of the military-industrial complex, Big Pharma, and corruption inside the Democratic Party. He's supporting Kamala Harris, who's right now funding and committed to funding the slaughter of the Palestinian people. So there's no red line for him.
Nope.
Can we swear in the show?
Yes.
Fuck him. What the fuck? That's so infuriating. God.
It's pretty. It's so he used to be exactly where we are, telling the truth objectively about the objective truth of the situation and the political realities, and then he dyed his hair blonde, started dating a 40 millionaire, and all of a sudden it flipped because I'm pretty sure he's got a Democratic donor somewhere who got him because his channel went dead for 2 years after he lied about me. And now it's zipping right along again. And it's only because he's on the corporate algorithm, because nobody likes that show and nobody watches it because everybody knows that about him, that he used to say the exact 180-degree different. And now he says, you and I are right-wingers for saying the same thing he used to say. And he was telling the truth. He was right back then. It's a really lazy form of smear, right? And Kyle Kalinske used to be the opposite of that. And now he's just as big a shit lib, liar, smear merchant as anybody. And there's no nuance into any of his reporting. It's all Democrats good, Trump bad. He's got Trump derangement syndrome. And he's got the balls to call people like you. You went from Bernie to Trump. He went from Bernie to the military-industrial complex to big pharma to pro-censorship to every bad thing there could be possibly in the world to pro-genocide now. Yeah. He's gladly, with a smile, going to vote for that.
Pro-genocide.
And of course you have...
The fucker is pro-genocide. Even though he'll swear up and down he isn't, but...
And then, of course, Dirtbag Left One also tweeted out, I couldn't believe it, how Kyle praised Kamala in that CNN interview. I'm like, are you fucking...
Yeah, he did. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck, dude?
As Kyle would say, you have any brain cells left to make that argument?
Right. Yeah, he's making those arguments these days. It's absurd. All right, so this is more of this big-brained... I think the peroxide got into his brain a little bit. Kyle Kalinske claims the only problem with Big Pharma is the price gouging. Absolutely no mention of the regulatory capture. You know, when you see those Big Pharma commercials, wonder who believes this shit. It's this guy. He thinks the only problem is the prices.
You could take anti-establishment views to the dumbest possible fucking place. And I've seen it a million times. I'm sure you've seen it too. But a great example of this is every reasonable person is anti-Big Pharma because of the price gouging, because they rob people, right? We invest up front. The taxpayers do. The universities create the medicine. Then Big Pharma swoops in, buys up the rights to it, sells it back to you, and price gouges you. You pay for it on the front end and you pay for it on the back end. The medicines work.
They work.
But you're being price gouged. That's the real criticism. Nationalize Big Pharma. Real criticism. And a bunch of idiots take that and they go one.
It's like, I mean, the medicines work, guys. I mean, remember that.
I mean, did Dr. Fauci admit he got boosted 6 times? Did he say 6?
Yeah, he got boosted a bunch of times. So, by the way, get your boosters. I got my appointment scheduled next week. Trust me, you know they're great. But yeah, I mean, we got to get as many boosters as we can.
Go one step further. No, the problem isn't the price gouging. The problem is in capitalism and the profit motive. The problem is that the medicines actually don't work. And Bill Gates is trying to poison you and put a microchip in you through the vaccine. And they're actually trying to poison you and kill you with toxic drugs that don't actually work.
It's ridiculous.
So they go from being anti-Big Pharma, reasonable, they cross the line into, I'm just anti-modern medicine and anti-vaccine and I'm a fucking idiot.
That's a exaggeration and a smear.
Mandates. We're also anti-mandates. We don't want... that's what Kyle also mentioned. That we don't want the government forcing, people to take the vaccine. It's the opposite of my body, my choice. He won't
which is why these liberals don't have any credibility when they say my body, my choice anymore. Especially during the pandemic when they went all authoritarian and they were pro-mandates. By the way, get your vaccines. I mean, I have to say that. I'm on YouTube, but get your vaccines. Make sure, you get your boosters. I have my appointment for next week. I'm already on my 10th booster. So make sure you get your boosters because they work.
Get them every day. You need them every day. Go get people.
Yeah, please do because. So yeah, this is what you were referring to with the Majority Report. I forget what their show is called. I don't watch them, but
no, you got them right.
So there's the Majority Report. So here's Emma Vigeland and Sam Cedar. Sam Cedar argues with Palestinian. By the way, this tweet is from Crab from INN, so check him out as well.
And then
Politically
Crab
Homeless
had a reply below about Emma's response to it. So
okay, so let me do that. Sam Cedar argues with a Palestinian American that he should vote for Kamala Harris over Jill Stein because the chances she could be 1% better on Israel. Oh my
1%.
One.
1. It's so important, guys.
I look at Trump.
Yeah, 1%. Not 100%. 1%. The possibility that Kamala's better on Israel, even though she isn't, because her national security advisor and her campaign made it clear they're going to continue funding Israel once he's elected, if she's elected.
If Jimmy Dore had said Trump would be 1% better on Palestine, Israel than Kamala, Sam Cedar would be going after him, saying, "How could he
would
better
be
1% all that thing?" So how is it okay for Sam to say 1% better?
He has Jimmy Dore derangement syndrome more than anybody in this space. I mean,
It's
he's
like
hated Jimmy.
that Matt Orfalef video, Jimmy.
Jimmy. And he hates Jimmy Dore more than Cenk Uygur, more than Kyle does. So, and Emma Vigeland looks like
now Vanguard is doing as much as Majority.
Those. I called him Kyle Kalinski's henchman because every time somebody attacks Kyle, they of course come out in a video defending him. So I called him Kyle Kalinski's henchman, but those guys they're completely embarrassed that they built their audience off of Jimmy Dore. You can tell because every chance they get, they attack Jimmy Dore because they built their audience off Jimmy Dore. It's like me, if I had a Jimmy Dore on or somebody like that on this show, then I'm embarrassed that I built my audience off of him. I'm like, if it wasn't for Jimmy, I wouldn't have even half the audience that I have right now. So I'm grateful. But those fuckers are embarrassed. They attack him every chance they get in the most ridiculous ways possible.
Before you move any further, I just want to say, I believe the reason why Vanguard stopped liking Jimmy is because, a couple years ago when Vanguard did that interview or chat with Ryan Grimm, Jimmy had a slight small critique, just very minor. I don't remember what it was, but he was mentioning in the chat. And then Vanguard, it wasn't even a huge deal. It was just a slight critique. And then Vanguard made a response to it. Jimmy's about it. They didn't like it. And then it's like ever since they're now after Jimmy. So
it's just so petty. It's like Jimmy criticized them a tiny bit and they melt down and they've hated him ever since. It's like, dude, get over yourselves. If it wasn't for Jimmy, you wouldn't have an audience. Hell, the first time I heard of these guys were through Jimmy Dore because he went on their show. I was like, okay, I'll check them out. And I'm like, these two are just nerds. Like, why would Jimmy even take the time to even go on their show? But whatever. But I never took him seriously, even when they liked Jimmy. So it's like, Sam Cedar argues that okay, I already read that. So let's watch this.
And I look at Trump and I look at Harris. One of them is going to be president. That's just simply a fact. Jill Stein has no better chance of being president than I do. And someone can say, well, if you guys supported Jill Stein, I might be president. I mean, it's just not going to happen. And so
Emma Vigeland she look at her. She's like, she's having like, why the hell am I here? Like, I don't want to be next to Sam Cedar. Look at her face. She's like, I don't want to be here. Like, what the fuck? I should have. It's like, really, look at her face. Like, she's reevaluating her life choices. Like, she's not happy to be there.
The point is that is there a 1% chance that Harris is better than Trump on Israel? And if I'm going to vote, that's what I'm going to vote for. Is one vote ain't make a damn ass difference, but teeny. But it's going to, it's the exercise. One arrow that you have in your quiver of political power. And that's what a vote is. It's a hammer.
I think all that's granted. Everything about the Green Party, everything you said about voting, like, I think I get all that. What I'm maybe not feeling as a Palestinian American is permeating kind of through all the rhetoric right now is just sort of like the mood. I don't know. Maybe you described it as the emotion, but the mood and like what that mood sets for like the future. I mean, it's hard, right? It's not easy. But when Kamala Harris gets asked in an interview, like will you change from Biden's policy on Gaza? And it's like I think she just said no. Like it's like I don't want to read into that too much, but she's seeing like a Trump, yard sign, yard back in 16 or whatever when he was talking about the Muslims, like the emotion and the mood that evoked from her, saying like, oh, this person supporting someone who like literally hates me to my guts. Like I'm telling you, Sam, and everyone else, like as we drive through our streets in New Hampshire and see Harris Maltz signs, like that's the same, like it's that same sort of like disconnect. Like this politician in no way can represent me. And I guess what concerns me is Jill Stein is Jill Stein, but the reason Jill Stein is sort of anything right now is because mainly the position she's taken on Palestine and is probably attractive.
I mean, she had the same, listen, she's going to do the same numbers as she did in 2016.
So, let's see.
I mean, they live in New York, right?
I think so. Yeah, I know Sam.
You don't have to vote for Kamala. Because she's going to win New York. I don't understand.
I think Emma lives in California, but Sam lives in New York.
No, she lives in New York.
Oh, she moved to New York? I remember she worked for TYT at one point. So she was in California then. But, okay, they're both from New York. But, yeah, I mean, I heard that siren is like, yeah, he's in New York. It's like, I get sirens here all the time, too, and crazy people here. But Emma Viglin's take is that she's voting for Holocaust Harris in New York. Okay, yeah, in New York. Not to take anything she said in one interview at face value, and insists Biden and Harris are not the same person. Obama would have been better in this situation. Obama was the one who did the Iron Dome, so no, I don't think he would have been better in this situation. But Emma Viglin's a Democrat, so she has to, insist the Democrats are better for reasons.
This is where I want people to read in between the lines a little bit more. And again, this is different from your voting. I just want to probably give some hope here about a change in policy.
I want to give some hope, guys. I mean, come on, let her give some hope.
These people said the same thing about Biden. Look how he turned out.
Yeah. She has to sell joy, hope, and change. Obama 2.0, Kamala Harris, even though Kamala Harris is nowhere near as charismatic as Obama. I mean, I have more charisma in my pinky than Kamala Harris has in her entire body, but let's continue.
The Harris camp has calculated they don't think that they need to address this issue concretely as of right now, or at least they're going to save it off for as long as possible to make sure that AIPAC money doesn't flood into the campaign. They don't feel like they need to address this more concretely. And that's awful, and it's wrong, and it's also speaks to the uniqueness of her position, but I wish that she was more explicit on, say, like arms embargo, right? But they're not doing that because of that calculation that they're making.
There is no arms embargo.
I don't think that you should take what she said in that interview on face value about her policies being the exact same as Biden. They're trying to leak this and have people read in between the lines. There was a Washington Post article over the weekend about Phil Gordon and how he's skeptical about how she's open to conditioning aid to Israel, and that's something that she would consider as president.
No, she wouldn't.
The clips that you describe are the ones they're going to travel, and that's in part by design. They want the pro-Israel money to not spend in their races, and you're already seeing it in Michigan, which is why she's going to have to make a decision at a certain point. The operatives are playing and saying how pro-Israel she is as Rat F campaign in Michigan to get people to be a little bit less enthusiastic. All I'm saying is that
which is a smart ad campaign heard by Republicans, because as we all know, Michigan has a big Muslim Arab population in Michigan. So it's really smart of them to say, hey, Kamala Harris, she's pro-Israel a lot more than Trump, even though Trump is also pro-Israel. Yeah. But it's a smart ad play by Republicans, to tamp down enthusiasm for Harris because, she's pro-Israel. Remember, I mean, we're not pro-Israel, but they are. Trust us. So vote for us. even though Trump is even more hawkish than Kamala Harris and Democrats on Israel. But yeah,
I
that's
don't even know. I don't. Is Trump really more hawkish than Kamala?
well, yes. Trump at one point said, "Oh well, let Netanyahu finish the job when it
Oh
comes to
yeah, but
Gaza."
oh, okay, maybe the Israel part, yeah. But I mean, like overall, I don't think so.
Well, if you're talking about war in general, I mean, yeah, he did do the he did kill Soleimani. He
Oh
did
yeah,
when he
yeah,
was
yeah.
president.
I'm
So
not saying he's a. I'm not saying he's a beast. I wasn't saying that.
right, but yeah, I mean, we talked about that last week when Steph
Yeah.
was here. But yeah, I mean, is Trump more hawkish than Kamala Harris in general? Look, the Democrats are more hawkish now than Republicans are.
Yeah.
Look at them. They're openly like talking about continuing the Israel thing, funding them. They're funding Ukraine. I mean, I didn't cover it this week, but they gave another Democrats gave another 200 million to Ukraine for more missiles, and they're talking about openly attacking Russia directly. Like again, who thinks is a good idea to have Ukraine to attack Russia on their territory? Who thinks it's a good idea? Nobody. Why would Ukraine even do that? Because that gives an excuse to Putin just to wipe Ukraine off the map and take it over. Yeah, that's all he needs. You're now directly attacking him in his territory. So it's like, okay, now we have to respond naturally. I mean, it's just ridiculous. What's the end game? Just have Ukraine just die, just kill, delete, whatever, every single person in Ukraine, so Putin takes it over. I don't understand what's the end game here when it comes to Ukraine. But let's finish this.
It's really, really frustrating to see her repeat the Biden administration line, but we have to remember it's not her administration, it's not her staff. She's essentially a ceremonial piece.
Oh no, it's not her administration. Even though she's trying to take credit for all the good Biden did, but it's not her administration, guys. When it comes to the bad things that Biden did is not her administration. The good things Biden did, Kamala Harris gets to take credit for it. That's how this works.
Don't worry, guys. We can see you in the chats. We can see you. Don't worry.
Yes, we can see you on Kick. So, oh, by the way, make sure you give us a like and subscribe. So if you haven't already.
For them, Biden and Harris, it's frustrating, and they're not the same person. Obama would have been better in this situation.
No, he wouldn't
All we're
have.
looking for, I think, in terms of improvement, are that level of kind of just more competence. And no matter what I say, again, this is not about your vote, because I can't empathize. I can empathize. I can't understand the position that you're in. But just to give you a sense, is I do think this concretely, that she doesn't have these ideological predispositions, and that should give activists hope that we can move her in a way that, for the first time in my life, I was considering voting third party in New York State. I've never done that. For the first time in my life, that's how disgusted I was with Biden. But I don't feel that way about Harris. And it's not just wish casting. It's based on concretely his history.
It's wish casting. It's
What
wish
a
casting.
dumb bitch.
It's wish
and
casting.
also,
That's what she's
even,
doing.
Even I am Blakely, she's getting Trump derangement syndrome now, and she went on that rant towards why I don't like Jill Stein and all that stuff. It kind of sounds like she hasn't said it, but I wouldn't be surprised if she ends up voting for Kamala, because all the stuff I said.
Like all these people, they're pro. It's a fear. It's an irrational fear, not only of Trump, but more importantly, they want to continue being in their social circles. So everybody in their social circles are anti-Trump. So humans are very conditioned to be in groups and to be friends with people. So if everybody in the group are anti-Trump, they're going to be anti-Trump too, and ridiculously over the top in order to stay in their social circles.
Now, if you bring back those tweets from Crab, can you pull up? I had some responses. Go to the original tweet first.
Hold on. I kind of hold on. Give me a minute. I'll get back to it. Yeah. RFK Jr. said he wanted to flood Gaza and he endorsed Trump. Yeah, I mean, RFK Jr. is full of crap, but Here's the original.
So first, I tweeted it in a response, and then I did a retweet post about it. So it should be there. It is. There's
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's just
and then,
too much.
And then if you go to the retweet, view the quotes, you'll see my response to it too.
Hold on.
You're right there. You're right there. No. The middle one. You know where it says 409. Click it, and then view posts.
Why am I missing it? I mean, you're telling me, but
you just clicked on it. You just clicked on it. For where it says 409. That one, yeah.
Oh.
And then you quotes, yeah. You'll see my response there too.
So sure. This is a classic case of who you prefer. Joe Parrott.
That one.
Yeah, I can't. There's a lot of quote tweets here.
Should show up.
Snow Himbo responded to. Yeah. How exactly would she become 1% better when she literally stated zero policy change on directly funding a genocide? Blackout Network. Oh, this is a good one.
Yeah. Keep scrolling. Should come up.
I got time. There it is.
There.
Hey, Sam Cedar and Emma Vigeland, you two know what you're saying is a bunch of bullshit. Biden and Harris are continuing to send weapons to Israel. Both have taken millions of dollars from AIPAC, and everybody knows that Kamala won't get a ceasefire done, despite saying she will. Also, seriously, 1% better than Trump. How the fuck is that a helpful argument? You guys are the biggest pieces of shit ever. And I think it's accurate. I mean, come on. Get a load of these two. They're Democrats. Their job is to sell us the Democratic Party, and they're not really doing a good job of it. But
also, just one more thing to the tweet she showed Emma's response. I had a response to that too. You know,
100% bullshit. Yeah, I mean it's. Oops, let me do that. Emma Vigeland's take.
Yeah, so if you scroll down, you should see mine there too. There it is.
Emma's no different than Tulsi Gabbard. You know, the woman she claims to hate. Yeah, I mean, who hates Tulsi Gabbard more, Emma Vigeland or Anna Kasparian? I mean, that's an interesting
I don't know
debate.
when was the last time Anna Kasparian mentioned Tulsi Gabbard, so I don't know. Plus, Anna has been she's been mentioning some, she's been claiming some right-wing takes lately or something like that. I don't know, but I know that.
Anna took credit for exposing Tulsi Gabbard, and she was always a right winger. See, I told you guys from the beginning. You know, so.
But Emma, you know, she won't stop mentioning Tulsi Gabbard. Of course, remember she supported Elizabeth Warren. You know.
Yeah, she didn't even support Bernie in 2020. She went to Warren like, oh well, you know, I mean Elizabeth Warren, you know, she's the better progressive or whatever. Even though she supported Bernie in 2016, and whoops. I wanted to mention, where is it? Here we go. So, Kyle Kalinske lately is very upset with Joe Rogan. Very upset with Joe Rogan for really no reason. It's the here we go. He's it's that one video where he says independent media is fucked. I mean, for whatever, you know, even though he's a part of independent media, but he's pretending, you know, he's something different lately. Kyle Kalinske breaks up with Joe Rogan because at the end of the day, he's effectively helping Trump in the right wing. I'm not a Joe Rogan.
How?
This is properly brain DNC show reason for attacking him. I don't know how Joe Rogan is not.
Kyle Kalinske used to be a lot smarter than this.
He used to be, not anymore. I mean, I responded there, but I'm going to let this play first, and then I'll show my response.
Then you have, you know, the podcast landscape, the somewhat comedy-oriented, but also political-oriented. You got the Joe Rogans, you got the PBD podcast, you got the Trigonometry podcast and stuff like that. And look, you got to call a spade a spade. A lot of these outlets sort of portray themselves as no, we're just reasonable people having reasonable conversations. And we're like centristy and stuff, bro. We're not like ideologues, bro. But at the end of the day, centrists or moderates, but they just end up effectively helping Trump and the right wing.
Which is bad. You can't help Trump or the right wing, or at least you can't. Kyle Kalinske cannot perceive you to be helping the right wing or else then, this is what happens. So this is what I respond. Kyle Kalinske is breaking from Joe Rogan for the same reason TYT did. Because he won't have them on his podcast anymore. Kyle's not been on his podcast for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
So my guess that he won't have him on anymore, and I don't blame him, quite frankly, if you see how shit-lib Kyle's turned lately. If Rogan was willing to have Kalinske on his podcast again, there's no way he would be criticizing him in this way. No, he wouldn't be. Because in the past, he defended Joe Rogan over and over again. This like a year or two ago. Now he's doing this shit. Nico House says facts, and I haven't heard Rogan is opposed to having him on. Well, I mean, he hasn't been on in like 2 or 3 years, so because if Rogan wanted him on, he would be on, and Kyle would gladly run over and go to Texas and be on the show like he's done 3 times at least, or 2 or 3 times. So yeah, I'm sure if Joe Rogan called up Kyle today, he's like, "Hey, you want to come on the show?" He's like, "Oh, hell yeah! Can I take the next flight to Texas?" I think he lives in Austin, but yeah, I mean, it's beyond ridiculous. Now he's turned on Rogan. He's now hates Jimmy Dore, which is not surprising. Matt Taibbi, and he also complains about Alex Jones in this clip. So,
oh my god!
So he hates everybody in the media now. Kyle Kalinske cries about Alex Jones making shit up while literally making up his own stats to back it up. That's exactly what he does. Then he cries mainstream media could get stuff right 84% of the time. Doesn't count. Nobody ever talks about it. Nobody ever gives them credit.
It's like Trump. Trump says one thing and then says another thing. Kyle's sounding like
we
Trump
are
now.
Yeah. This is what he does all the time. He complains to other people and then makes stuff up. Just makes it up out of whole cloth for no reason. It's like, and I love his specificity.
He does it for a reason. Let's be serious.
Yeah, I mean, he does it. I can't come up with unless he's just a complete shill for the Democrats and his marriage. I mean, we all have seen the why am I forgetting his name? Turncoat Don video where Kyle.
That video, yeah.
Jimmy Dore just played it recently. It's gone viral again because Jimmy Dore played it, but. Yeah, that's an older video he did. It's fantastic. I mean, it's past Kyle before he peroxide his hair versus today's Kyle, and Kyle is calling himself out, from past Kyle. If past Kyle saw this Kyle, like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy?
Yeah,
I can't believe I turned into this fucker. But who is this guy? But I'm telling you, it just has to be the fact that he put a ring on Crystal Ball's finger. I can't think of anything else why he would do this. It's not even about the money. It's just he doesn't want to lose her.
He called Crystal Ball so stupid.
Ironically, yeah, about 10 years ago, he called her really stupid, and now he put a ring on it, and it's like clearly she's in charge of that relationship. But, I digress because I don't know that for sure. But this is Kyle whining about Alex Jones now.
We are not, by any stretch of the imagination, in this new media landscape, a fucking panacea. Not even close. In fact, as I said, in some instances, we could be worse. How many times have you heard this bullshit talking point from somebody in new media? Corporate media, mainstream media, they're so terrible, they're so bad. And, Alex Jones gets stuff right.
Wait, you said that. Corporate media is bad and then makes stuff up. Like, why is he turning on what he used to say? This is even worse now. Because we all know corporate media is full of crap. That's why we're all here. We started doing shows and stuff. Now he's like defending corporate media here for no reason. I mean, or what, is he fishing for a job at MSNBC? That's what it comes across as. Like, yeah, give me a job at MSNBC. I would leave my YouTube show like that, and that's what for a job at MSNBC.
When he and Crystal, when they interviewed Mehdi Hassam like a month or two ago, whenever that was. He was trying to. He didn't want to criticize Rachel Maddow. He was like, I don't want to. I want to I don't want to offend Rachel Maddow here or whatever. I don't want to be mean to Maddow or whatever he said in that clip. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Wow, I think the dye hair has gone to his head. Yeah, it's going in his brain or something. He clearly stepped for. Did you forget that movie? I mean, he's done something. Like, this is ridiculous. Let's see. Let me finish this.
Right, a lot more often than corporate media.
Again, Alex Jones has gotten stuff right.
Yeah.
Like, why? I don't.
How is that a facepalm, Kyle? How does that a facepalm?
He's gotten stuff right. I mean, he hasn't gotten everything right, but I got all of us. Hell, I've gotten stuff wrong. My predictions, but it's like
well, I'll wait till you finish the video. But yeah,
okay.
Anybody who has ever used that talking point, you should immediately write them off everything they have to say for the rest of your fucking life.
Really?
Immediately.
Why?
That's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, write me off.
Alex Jones, like,
wait.
he's 90.
Write me off, guys, because I've said that. So you shouldn't watch this show anymore.
6% dead wrong and flat out making shit up, right? 4% of the time he happens to stumble across something that's correct. And you got all the independent media folks going, oh, look at this. Look, oh, he got that right. Could you believe he got that right? He's like a prophet, Tucker Carlson said. He's like a prophet. I haven't even gotten into Tucker Carlson as one of the worst offenders in this so-called new media, independent media. He's like a prophet, Alex Jones. He gets things right. Meanwhile, mainstream media can get stuff right 84% of the time. Doesn't count. Nobody ever talks about it. Nobody ever gives them credit.
Why is he going out of his way to defend corporate media?
They don't get 84% right.
It's like he's fishing for a job at MSNBC all of a sudden now. It's like he's defending corporate media, something he wouldn't have done just a few years ago. He's fishing for a job at MSNBC. That's why
it's just a fucking cesspool. It's a bunch of virtue signaling grifters in many instances. It's terminal contrarians, as I call them, and narrative humpers, and audience captured freaks who have zero principles, zero integrity.
Again, he's talking about himself here, guys, but let me finish.
Or credibility. And they repeatedly humiliate themselves, but since they've built a big enough audience, they think like, oh, we must be doing something right.
He's talking about himself there because he has a big audience.
And the Vanguard and all those shitlets, they've become the biggest scripters ever. People say Jimmy Dore is the biggest scripter, all that. No, these guys are. Jimmy Dore has kept his, he's stuck to the same core values and all that stuff for years. These guys like Kyle Gawinski, Vanguard, Mike Figueredo, Chris Ball, those are the ones that have changed. Those are the ones that have flip-flopped.
Mr. Kyle, he's talking about himself there at the end because he has the big audience.
Yeah.
He's captured by his audience now because they're all Democrat liberal shit libs. He's the grifter because he's basically, as Jimmy Dore said, he has no red line. If you're a Democrat, he's going to find a way to support you. And he's a multimillionaire now based on his money with his wife, So his wife has the money. He doesn't. He has a fraction of what she's worth. So he's going to do whatever it takes.
I think it was yesterday. I saw there's a video that Jordan Jerrington put out. I don't like Jordan Jerrington either anymore, but he did make a video about interviewing someone that doesn't support Tim Walz, and Tim Walz does something bad or whatever it was. I don't remember. I just watched just like a second of it. I saw one of the comments saying, "Don't show Kyle Kowinski that," or whatever.
I did see that.
Or
that's
Kyle
pretty
Kowinski's
funny.
not gonna be happy about that.
So this is all from the same show, it seems like, because Kyle is wearing the same clothes, but this is him whining about how Kamala Harris didn't tease ending genocide.
Yeah. Well, you should probably first play the video before that.
He was
talking about how Kamala did great in that CNN interview.
Did Postoopolis upload that? Because I might have missed it.
Yeah, it was shortly before that.
I didn't see it here in his timeline. So, here it is.
Oh, yeah, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, so Kyle Kulinski fawns over Kamala's disaster of an interview. We covered this when it came out last week. We tore it apart, me, you, and Steph. But yeah, but
Oh
now
yeah, right,
apparently,
yeah.
so did we?
Oh wait,
I think
no.
we may.
Oh yeah, we covered the CNN interview. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, but
I thought
we
you were
didn't
talking about-
cover his reaction to it.
Yeah.
This is exactly what she has to do, and this is definitely more
Exactly
like
what she had to
modern
do.
day Kamala Harris, who's more comfortable in her skin and confident.
No, she is.
versus 2020
She
Kamala.
wasn't comfortable. Did you see the same interview we did? Because he's talking about how he's more comfortable in her skin than she was in 2020. No, she wasn't. All she did is she did her word salads most of the time.
Yeah.
And she sounded like she had a bottle of wine.
Yeah,
She sounded like she had a bottle of wine before our interview. And trust me, I like my alcohol, but I wouldn't drink it before a big interview. But that's she sounded drunk.
Kamala Harris running in the primary, where she was sort of flailing and all over the place, and she felt very inauthentic.
Well, first of all, we had to recover as an economy, and we have done that. I'm very proud of the work that we have done that has brought inflation down less than 3%. The work that we have done to cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors. Donald Trump said he was going to do a number of things, including allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices. Never happened. We did it.
This interview so far just went from good to great.
Great,
Kamala
guys.
and Biden's move which is $35 insulin.
She used standard talking points about Trump, and somehow that's great.
Across the board in Medicare, Part B, Part D. You also have the drug prices per year, where it was negotiated for lower prices with the pharmaceutical industry. Now, you could argue, hey, that didn't go far enough. We needed to reduce the price of all the drugs. I 100% agree with that. But the fact the Democratic plan is way more wide-ranging and far-reaching than Trump's plan. He keeps trying to take credit, and she's setting the record straight here and going, we did way more than you did, and we went way further than you did.
You maintain Biden.
Crumbs.
Yes. I maintain that we do the work of bringing down prescription medication for the American people, including capping the cost of the annual cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000. When we do what we did in the first year of being in
He's
office
smoking that vape there, buddy.
to extend the child tax credit so that we cut child poverty in America by
that's the definition of a cancer stick right there.
50%. When we do what we have done to invest in the American people and bringing manufacturing back to the United States so that we created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs, bringing business back to America. What we have
It's like,
done
he
to
looks,
improve the
he looks constipated here, but
I think so. We're not relying on foreign governments to supply American families with their basic needs. I'll say that that's good work.
God damn, who is this woman? And what did she do with the old school Kamala Harris? You want to talk about an upgrade? Bro.
She did nothing. She's the same Kamala Harris she's always been. And this guy is like, as Steph said, sucking her dick. You know, this is ridiculous.
Wow. I need you to bring up the infrastructure bill. I need you to bring up the Inflation Reduction Act, because these actually had tremendous effects.
No, they didn't.
And here she is. She just brought up the 800,000 manufacturing job number. Gotta be honest, bro. She's kind of fucking.
She's killing it, guys. Even though we tore apart this interview last week.
Medicare for all, or Green New Deal, all that stuff. It's just so ridiculous. By the way,
this is
wait.
Policy
Sorry, go back to that post.
If you let's see, font.
So I responded below, and then I retweet, and I responded via retweet as well. So,
yeah, I did. Me and Alex and Steph tore apart this interview on Friday's edition of the show, and somehow he looks at the same interview, talks about how great she did. It's like,
so,
really, it's
so mine should show up.
Socialist MMA. Kyle is completely,
not that one. I did tweet that, but that's not the one I'm thinking of. Might be that one. Yeah,
this one.
Like, do you have any brain cells left to make that argument? Are you?
I think he was attacking Jimmy Dore there again. So if I remember that correctly.
Well, yeah. But also, I also responded to via retweet. If you view the posts again, you'll see mine there. So just keep scrolling down.
Jimmy Dore also did.
Oh, yeah, Jimmy Dore responded.
Remember all those old jokes about blondes being dumb because their hair bleach sleeps into their brain through their scalp? I think it's time to stop making jokes and start researching this very real problem.
Yeah.
Let's see. Looks like Kyle Kalinske, blah, blah, blah. No. Bill Vane also responded. Oh, God. This man's brain has reached a breaking point. Sagar must break the spell before it's too late. The bleached hair fits him. Truly upset I supported the scumbag con artist for as long as I did.
Yeah.
Not the only one. Not the only one. Kyle Kalinske, how do you overlook genocide while slobbing on the dick of the Democrats? Perfectly said. This corrupt cocksucker is everything wrong with progressives. Kyle Kalinske is a Jim Cramer of politics now. Which is, again, these are brutal takedowns of Kyle Kalinske here. Squid Diddley also did great job.
Should be very close. What? Really? No, it's not there.
No, it's not here. I don't know whether I went through all of them. Yeah, so
well,
whatever. Well, I mean,
so now you can go to his house.
Yeah. So he's really upset that she didn't tease ending the genocide. Not ending it. Not saying she's gonna end it, but teasing it. Like it's professional wrestling. You got to tease something in order for you to watch the show next week.
Yeah.
From a policy perspective, it's the right thing to do to say, yes, I will cut off weapons to Israel. Maybe if she just teased it, I don't know, we'll have to see, right? If she just did that, I think that'd be enough where everybody's like, okay. But she didn't do that. She basically said, no, I'm not going to.
Perfect.
I'm not going to change policy vis-a-vis Israel. Well, then, look, you are effectively aiding and abetting a genocide. Because everybody knows, even Israeli government officials know this.
Did.
The only obstacle at this moment to a ceasefire is Benjamin Netanyahu. He's the obstacle. And
thank you, Mouse.
Joe
Appreciate
Biden
the
is
birthday
playing
wish.
this stupid game of kabuki theater, and he's pretending like, no, Netanyahu's not the obstacle. No, he is the obstacle.
That's
and
true,
even other Israeli government officials are saying he's the obstacle. Hamas has accepted a deal. We say we want a deal, but he keeps changing the terms of the deal and saying, no, I don't want to do a deal. So if you keep arming them, knowing that those weapons are going to carpet bomb innocent civilians, women and children, then you are effectively greenlighting the massacre of innocent women and children. If she was asked that question and she said, maybe, look, we'll see when I'm in there, I'll evaluate all the facts and where we're at that moment, and maybe,
that's all he wanted, a maybe. Maybe we'll end it, not definitely we'll end it. Like, maybe, that's all he wanted, maybe.
For 40,000 Palestinians killed, 90% civilians, at some point, we need to stop incentivizing Netanyahu killing civilians, which they're clearly doing on purpose. Maybe I'll cut off the weapons. We'll see. But no, she couldn't do it. She couldn't do it.
Maybe. All he wanted was a maybe, and she wouldn't do it.
To respond to a Mouse, we just played a video minutes ago of Jimmy and Matt Taibbi reacting to Kyle's.
Oh yeah, brilliant stuff.
We just played that video minutes ago.
Yeah, so I wanted to play couple funny videos before we go because it's almost 9. I finding these shorts on YouTube, they're pretty funny. A couple of them. Where are they? Should have probably not that. Oh, let's just do that. Shorts. Oh, here we go. This is like the first one here. So this is some funny videos and nothing to do with political stuff, but we got a good old Southern boy here yelling and screaming at a cop. So this is pretty funny. Good old Southern boy.
Freaked out on an officer for blocking his driveway when his wife would be arriving soon.
You got your driver's license, proof of insurance? Is this where you live?
You gonna block the road?
Yeah, it's
my wife's gonna be home in a minute.
My wife's
okay,
gonna
you have
be
your
home.
driver's license?
Well, yeah, but you gonna block the road and keep my wife out of the driveway? Is that like a reasonable thing for you to do?
You have your driver's
Do you see me with my driver's license?
That's a
Do you
credit
not?
card.
Oh, it's a credit card. Well, you got fucking eyes so you can
Hey,
see yourself
sir.
in the fucking road, can't
Calm
you?
down, sir.
Motherfucker, you're standing on my goddamn property. I do whatever the fuck I want here, son.
Okay, can
you
I have
ain't
it?
touching a goddamn thing of
I
mine,
need to
boy.
see it.
Boy.
You do.
Boy.
Take it from me then, boy. Keep that fucking bad about it.
Sir, what is
All
your
right,
problem?
then. My problem is you blocking the goddamn road. My wife's coming home, and what the are you doing? Sitting here standing in the goddamn driveway.
Sir, this could all
All right,
be
oh,
over.
it could be. You fucking right, it could be. Here's my fucking driver's license. You ain't handing it to you. Fuck you. You ain't handing you shit, boy.
Sir, what is your problem?
The fuck is your problem standing in the goddamn driveway? Keep asking me the same dumb question, motherfucker. I keep asking you the same dumb question. Which one do you want to answer first?
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Man.
The only thing missing from that clip is using the Elder Scrolls Oblivion thing. You know, the
like good old. He's a good old Southern boy. You know, like you could like the way he uses boy and stuff. Boy, you know, perfectly a Southern boy. That he's a Southern boy. So this guy, another pretty funny one. Apparently, this guy is being interrogated by cops, and he farts in the middle of his interrogation. So you can hear it audibly. So he definitely farts.
This man farts after he finds out he's being charged for a gun-related crime.
I have no knowledge of anything about that gun. Anything.
You own any guns?
No.
Do you know him to own any guns?
I mean, it's up to him, bro.
Listen, bro. No, it's not up to him because you're being charged with it right now. That's why we're bringing you here to talk to you about it.
Oh, I'm being charged with it. Yeah. Excuse me.
Damn, man.
This man farts after he finds out he's being charged for a gun-related crime.
I have no knowledge of anything about that gun. Anything.
You own any guns?
No.
Do you know him to own any guns?
I mean, it's up to him, bro.
Listen, bro. No, it's not up to him because you're being charged with it right now. That's why we're bringing you here to talk to you about it.
Oh, I'm being charged with it. Yeah.
Excuse me. Even the cop was like, "Damn, man." So yeah,
you also have that Pikachu face, or you know that.
Yeah. Excuse me, I gotta go. Excuse me. At least say excuse me. But yeah, I mean that could be a superpower. You know, what I mean, you're about to get arrested and you let loose a horrible fart, and you know the cops pass out and you can run away. Yeah, so that could be a superpower. So if he perfects it, you know that could work. It's so.
You're being charged with it right now. That's why we're bringing you here to talk to you about it.
I'm being charged with it. Yeah.
Excuse me, guys.
Damn, man.
Damn, man. It could be a superpower.
Sounded like a cow or something.
It's like one day is going to be a superpower if he perfects it. But yeah, so I just wanted to play a couple funny videos before we go. I wanted to thank everybody very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. We'll be back with you next week. Same time, same place, same channels. I know. And what else? Yeah, Pro Wrestling Talk is tomorrow at 8 o'clock with me and Steph again. We'll be talking about pro wrestling and all this other stuff. So, and we'll hang out for a couple hours. So I'm going to thank Alex for joining me again. Appreciate it. Love having you on.
Let's try to get Snow and then Crab on it if we can too, and maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I'll reach out to them and see whether they can
Karen,
come on
I guess,
next week.
You know, maybe Karen too, or some others.
Tomorrow, be there or be square. Yep. Make sure you subscribe to all INN channels or people. There's a bear in my seat. Steph says, Alex, come on Pro Wrestling Talk.
I mean, I wouldn't talk about current pro wrestling. Like I mentioned, I don't watch wrestling anymore.
Well,
but I would definitely discuss
well, yeah. I mean, we usually we do the first hour and we talk about current pro wrestling. We had Snow on a few weeks ago and he didn't really say much while we were talking about it. Once we got into like the second hour and we started playing wrestling clips, that's when he got into it a lot more. So
that wrestling show, it's at the same time tomorrow?
It's at 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. So then at 9 Eastern is when you would play the clips and all that stuff?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Maybe I could join tomorrow for that. I'm not sure yet, but I might do that.
Okay, well, I'll send you the link. I mean, if just in case, if you're able to. He knew older wrestling, and we talk about that too. Yeah, so it's not just new stuff. The first hour is usually the newer stuff. But
honestly,
yeah.
So maybe I might join tomorrow.
Yeah, so I'll send you a link, and if you're able to come on, great. All right, well, I got to wrap up because I got to knock on the door, and people are bothering me. So, I hope everybody enjoyed. We'll see you guys next week. Same time, same place, same channels. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, all that good stuff. Have a good night.